everyone. Welcome to Crime in Court. This is a continuation of the deep dive that we've been doing on the Delphi case, especially in regards to Richard Allen. And we just read through a document that the defense just put out this earlier this week. They put out a motion to correct errors. And in one of their reasons, one of the things that they wanted to correct was this confession, the supposed confession that came from Ron Logan. They didn't have that information at the time of trial and all. And I mean, there's other things too. But I figured because we just talked about Ron Logan, let's do a little bit about who is Ron Logan and how he relates to this case. So we know that he is the property owner of the land in which the girls, Libby and Abby, were found. He was also looked at as a suspect in, I think it was like 2 years later. The FBI. No, wait. We'll get to there. So anyways, we're going to watch a series of news clips where either Ron Logan's in them or he's being talked about in them. Something newsworthy happened throughout the beginning, from the beginning of the Delphi case until currently. I have a few news clips we're going to go over. And then we're also going to go over the probable cause affidavit for Ron Logan. And there's also another individual who heard Ron Logan confess. So we'll get to that as well. So let's hit that like button as we begin. And I am going to start us off with this is a lot of it's like local news stations. So I'm not really sure, but here we go.
Indiana State Police have just opened a tip line for information about the killings of Liberty German and Abigail Williams. That telephone number, we'll get it up on a full screen a little bit later in the newscast, but that telephone number.
So the tip line, we'll do a whole, I have a plan to go through like each and every little thing in this case. So we'll probably get to the tip line. But there was one news clip I heard as I was putting all these together that there was about 6,000 tips that they had received on the tip line, and it wasn't even, it hadn't even been open for that long. So it's quite a lot of tips that they received, and there's absolutely no way that they were able to clear all of those tips. So I'm just going to throw that out there. And that's my opinion. I don't think that they cleared all the tips that they said they cleared.
Is 844-459-5789. We'll be repeating that again a little bit later in the newscast. In the meantime, though, the town of Delphi still in shock just 2 days after the discovery of those two teenage girls' bodies on Tuesday.
Today, police have confirmed to News 18 that they've questioned people over the double homicide of 14-year-old Libby German and 13-year-old Abby Williams. But they're keeping tight-lipped about any suspects or persons of interest. However, they are still looking for the man seen in these pictures sent out last night. They say he was on the trail around the same time the girls were last seen, and they're hoping he may have seen something. If you know who he is, you're asked to call the local authorities.
And in the
He's so blurry, he has no face, and when they do release the video, as you recall, it's like it's on a loop. And it doesn't actually show him walking. It's like one step on a loop over and over again.
meantime, members of the Delphi community today are beginning to organize fundraisers to benefit the victims' families. News 18's Cameron Harden has been in Delphi all day long, speaking with residents. He joins us now with the latest. Cameron?
It's no surprise the town of Delphi is taking this very hard. With less than 3,000 people in the entire community, it's a typical kind of place where everybody knows everybody. But now the town is trying to make the best of it by coming together.
Who'd ever think someone would be murdered in your backyard?
Ron Logan has lived on this property in Delphi.
So, in case you missed that, that is going to be Ron Logan speaking. They're interviewing him on his property about the homicides. This is long before Richard Allen was arrested for the crimes. This is 7 years ago this video came out. So to be exact, I gotta scroll up here, and February 16th, this video came out.
For more than 50
2017, the same year. So February 16th, this is 2 days after the girls were found.
years.
I don't even recall any homicides in Delphi. I just don't recall any, but a double homicide. This is the first, as far as I know. I don't. But it's just crazy.
He never would have imagined his property would turn into a murder scene.
It's just terrible. I just can't imagine that. My son, when he was a kid, he and his buddies played in here for all the time. I mean, he was born here. That was a different time, though.
Those are some odd comments. I'm just going to say it. I don't know how I would feel if bodies were just, one day on my property, but the things he's saying here, they just don't match up to the situation, in my opinion.
Logan and the rest of the community are deeply hurt for the families involved, and that's exactly why the town is coming together.
We're a small community, and when something like this happens, you feel.
Also, I want to comment on this particular camera angle for whatever this is, 18 News WLFI-TV. This is a camera angle that they went with. The Pam cooking spray, whatever the heck these other things are, scissors. You can barely see the woman's head. I just wanted to point that out because first time I watched it, it made me kind of laugh.
Feel like you need to do something. So with the people being friends and neighbors, we wanted to raise some money for whatever their needs would be.
Tracy Bradshaw is the owner of the Pizza King in town. She is just one of the numerous businesses that have put out flyers for fundraisers that will help the victims' families.
With it being so small, you know the girls that have been running around, and everybody's friends with everybody. Everybody grew up with everybody.
She'll be hosting a fundraiser next Friday the 24th at the store. The Stonehouse Restaurant and Bakery also joined in and started their fundraiser today. They are making cookies in respect to Abigail and Liberty with their favorite colors and name on them. Bradshaw says she is by no means surprised the town is coming together in a time of desperate need.
It doesn't surprise me in Delphi. No, everybody's like a big family. So when they're needed, everybody comes together.
The community will get their chance to pay their respects this weekend. A joint viewing will be held on Saturday for the girls. The viewing runs from 4 to 8 p.m. at the high school, and at 8 o'clock there will be a lantern release in the middle school parking lot. Now, we will continue to follow this investigation, and if any more information or new details come in, we'll be sure to let you know on our website at WLFI.com.
Yeah, so basically I just wanted to see that for the Ron Logan interview. We're going to see another Ron Logan interview here. This is
in the days since
also-
police made this tragic discovery.
Hold on. This is also 7 years ago, same day, February 16th, this aired.
The Delphi community has been coming to terms, I should say, with a painful reality. Eyewitness News reporter David McAnally went back to the scene of the crime today, where neighbors still don't understand how this could happen to two.
I see these captions. It's like gobbledygook. That's funny. It's not what the people are saying. Just FYI.
Two young girls. Dave?
As police continue a very methodical investigation here, going down every road in the search for clues, some folks who live near the crime scene, they fear that their road will never be the same. The crime scene Thursday, a place property owner Ron Logan knows well, but never thought he would know for something so tragic.
I can't really wrap my emotions around it yet. It's so mind-boggling. I haven't really caught up. It hasn't caught up with me yet.
Up and down the hills, across that bank, now circled with crime tape, his son grew.
Maybe it's caught up to him now because the truth is coming out about his confessions, even though he is deceased. And unfortunately, Abby and Libby won't get justice if he was the one who perpetrated the crimes against them. But we do need to know the truth because I believe an innocent man is in prison, and we need to know why Ron Logan was overlooked as a suspect, and we'll get to that too.
Grew up playing here.
Never in your wildest dreams do you think that he comes down here to play, he won't come back home.
He and his friends grieved for the victims, Liberty German and Abigail Williams, both 13.
That's why we come back. He goes, I want to show you what it looks like. You couldn't carry someone up and down these hills, or it's hard to walk by yourself.
We've been able to identify almost everybody else that's been on that trail, and this gentleman has not been identified, and we want to know what he saw, what he might have seen on the trail. Did he see somebody else that maybe some of the others didn't see?
The Sheriff's Department says the trail photos of a man released Wednesday have brought in about 200 tips, and they're checking every one of them, they say. Police.
So in the beginning, they only released that photo, and then over time and throughout the years, they started releasing police sketches, the photo with the loop, the walk that he does, the looping, and then or the video, I should say, where he loops. And then what else came out? I'm missing something. Oh, the audio of him saying guys down the hill, whoever he is, which we compared in the last episode, his voice right next to one another, and it really does kind of sound like him. I'm not gonna lie.
Police want to talk to the man because he was on the trail about the same time as the victims.
I think they feel confident that we're going to get this guy or guys that were involved in this, and I think they're feeling confident that it's going to happen sooner than later.
Back at the crime scene, hoping for answers.
This place is never going to be the same. It'll never be the same, will it?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody will be.
My
They'll
son-
be very vigilant now, when from here on out,
My
when they
son
come
told
down
me
here.
that
That's the problem with their audio.
Now, here's another look at the man police are so desperate to talk to. Again, they have not said he's a suspect or a person of interest. Instead, investigators believe that he is the only person they haven't identified who was in the area at that time. Now, if you were in the area...
So when did he go from, we don't believe he's a suspect, but we just want to identify him, to Bridge Guy is the guy? That's what prosecutor Nick McLeland said the whole trial. Bridge Guy, if you believe Bridge Guy's Richard Allen, then somehow that makes him guilty, even though there's no proof that Bridge Guy did anything wrong. But it's very, very odd.
that day, or you know anything that could help solve this case, police do want to hear from you. They've set up a new tip line for information about the murders of Libby and Abby. All tips should be called into that number, and you can remain anonymous. You see it right there on your screen. The number is 844.
I believe that they do still take tips, because even after they got their conviction, they said that they would still take any tips. They're still taking tips, even though this is supposed to be a closed crime now, a closed case. Why are they going to still take tips on a closed case? Doesn't make any sense.
459-5786.
Well, a guilty plea to a charge connected to a
All right, so now we're going to get into, this is April 3rd of 2017. So just very shortly after the crime. So the crimes happened February 13th through the 14th, and now we are in April, about 2 months later, and Ron Logan is in prison.
guilty plea to a charge connected to a probation violation for a man who lives at the property where Delphi teens Libby German and Abby Williams were found dead, now 7 weeks ago. Now, we want to stress tonight at 5 o'clock, what happened in court today is not related to those two murders. Instead, Ronald Logan pleaded guilty to being a habitual traffic violator. He also admitted to violating his parole. He will face sentencing for both next Monday. Now, weeks ago, police searched Logan's house and vehicles, but have not connected him to the murders.
So that was about his probation, or not probation. I think he violated something regarding probation. So that's when they took him back to prison, and that's around the time when he makes this confession. hold that thought. So, but actually, that's a perfect time to read this. So, we read in the other filing, what was it? The motion to correct error, that there was an individual who said that Ron Logan confessed to them. Well, we have another confession, actually. So this person, his name is Jim Haas. It's very blurry and horrible writing, but I will read the best of my ability to you. It's actually not that difficult when you take context clues around it. You can read it. But what I was going to say, so I'm not sure why we didn't get this information as well. But look at the date on this. This is February 12th, 19 or 2019. So that's actually way later. So this might be why it wasn't included, because it was later than the other confession. So maybe it didn't prove their case as much. I don't know. But regardless, let's read this. So first off, he's going to start talking about his own crime. So I'm going to skip through that part. But then he gets into what Ron Logan, his cellmate, he shared a cell with Ron Logan. This is what James Hess says on February 12th, 2019. He says, "To whom? My name is James Haas. Please read this whole letter. I am in the State Prison in Michigan City, Indiana. What I am going to tell you may sound bizarre, but it is all true." He goes into his own thing and he thinks he was convicted of homicide, and he thinks he's being set up or something because there was no DNA, no fingerprints, no biological evidence, no weapon, and the call records had him at home. His handicapped son had him at home. Um, his lawyer, whatever, I don't know. So something about the replacement, no forensic evidence. My lawyer never took first deposition, blah, blah, blah. So all these reasons why he's in prison and shouldn't be, whatever. Okay, so now we get to the Ron Logan thing. What does it say? These are just a few of the unjust reasons they have silenced me by putting me in here. Now, for what this is all about, the Delphi homicide in Delphi, Indiana, Libby and Abby. I know who did it. This is no prank or joke. This is where it gets bizarre. I was in the Carroll County Jail with the man, and he confessed everything. He told me things the public don't know. Don't He told me things the public don't even know. So you want me to say it? Okay, he told me. I caught him pleasuring himself by saying Abby, oh Abby over and over. And then something, he went, still, be still." 2 days later, he said, "I guess I need to KILL a couple more girls. I told the guards my lawyer wanted me to be quiet about it until after my trial, while his trial, which was a couple months later, I believe. He also told me either he cut off Libby's head or both, can't remember. I, at this time, was pretty upset. I did not tell the guards this part, but the only way for me to know this is him because they never, the only way for me to know this is because of him, because they never let this out in the public. He also said the reason for him being there is to get an ankle bracelet, which he has been friends with the prosecutor's family for years. Hello? Hello? Ron Logan and Nick McLeland's family. The McLeland the Logans and the McClellands just hanging out, being cool for years together. So Ron Logan is in prison only to get his ankle monitor to go home, which is exactly what happened, he says. And he would for sure get it, and he did. So he got his ankle monitor and went home. And let's not forget, his family's friends with the prosecutor's family. Or he is friends with the prosecutor's family, I should say. Continuing on, he said he was not worried for his alibi. His alibi was iron tight. Went to a dump and to buy fish. Another thing public don't know. So how do I know? He told me. So this is what he used as an alibi, which actually turned out to not be the case because his cousin didn't corroborate it with him, person who was supposed to. He continues on, as long as he goes free, more money comes into the community, fundraisers, bike rides, you name it. They do not want that to stop. But all along, I am innocent sitting in prison for something I never did, all while he is a child KILLer going free. Thank you, James Haas. And he says he lives in Delphi. He's 79. Girls found on his property. His name, Mr. Logan. Please listen. This is the truth. And then he goes on more about his case later, asking people to please help him because he does not have a lawyer. Poor guy. I feel bad for him. James Haas. So just so you know, that happened. This letter happened. Yet Richard Allen's still sitting in prison for some reason. All right, so this is okay. So it was March 17th that they actually started searching Logan's property. So it was early on that he was a suspect. Watch this. This was before that letter was written. Okay.
Now at 6, police in Delphi today served a new search warrant in the murders of teenage girls Abby Williams and Libby German.
Today, police are scouring the home of the man who owns the property where the bodies of the two girls were found last month.
RTV6's Mike Pelton has been covering this investigation since it began. He joins us live in Delphi tonight with those new developments. Mike, what are they looking for right now?
Well, Jason, the Carroll County Sheriff's Office, State Police, and the FBI are now 6 hours into the search warrant there at that White House behind me. You can see police vehicles out front as they are combing over this property. Now, for reference, the bodies of Libby German and Abby Williams were found just a few hundred yards into those woods there on the right-hand side of your screen. Now, State Police say they did receive new information and obtained probable cause to search the home of 77-year-old Ronald Logan. We talked to him last month.
At this point, this is 2 months after the homicides. A search warrant has been executed. They are looking at this property. You usually don't do that until you have some good evidence that there might be something to find.
Month after the bodies of Libby and Abby were found on the edge of his property. I'm told the search warrant today covers his home, vehicles, outbuildings, and the property as a whole. Now, police right now are not calling Logan a suspect, but say they are following up on each and every lead they get.
We are serving this search warrant as a normal course of investigation. We've served multiple search warrants so far, and search warrants and evidence can either exonerate a person or maybe require law enforcement to take a closer look. But at this time, Ron Logan is not under arrest for the double homicide of Liberty German and Abigail Williams.
Okay, watch this. So as soon as he finishes this, he does like a weird smirky smile, okay, after he says Ron Logan is not a suspect.
Or maybe require law enforcement to take a closer look. But at this time, Ron Logan is not under arrest for the double homicide of Liberty German and Abigail Williams.
And
what was that? That smile afterwards. I find that very weird. I don't know what it means, but I find it odd.
As we come back out here live, you can see investigators continuing to serve that search warrant. Now, Ronald Logan is not under arrest in connection with the double murder, but as many people on social media have pointed out, he is currently in jail. Now, we want to clear that up because that is for an unrelated probation violation, and police stress they have questioned hundreds of people in this case and served roughly a dozen search warrants, and of course, to this point, they have not made any arrests. For now, we're live in Delphi tonight.
They made a dozen search warrants? Let's hear that again. What did he just say? This is 2 months after the crimes.
And police stress they have questioned hundreds of people in this case and served roughly a dozen search warrants. And of course, to this point, they have not made any arrests. For now, we're live in Delphi tonight. Mike Pelton, RTV6.
100 search warrants. And nothing? Okay.
Mike, thank you so much for the very latest. And again, police are poring over every tip that comes in as they try to find the person responsible. No piece of information is too small. Call the tip line at 8.
All right. Let's move on to the next one, which... Whoops. All right. So this is going to be same day, same news day. It's like in the same news cycle. I just gave you two different clips to watch.
A new twist in the hunt for the killer of those two Indiana teenagers. Investigators executed a search warrant at the home of this man, Ron Logan, who owns the property where the bodies of 13-year-old Abigail Williams and Liberty German were found. Cops took away a white Ford pickup truck during the search.
Who is safe here or anywhere else anymore?
Ron Logan is now in custody on an unrelated probation violation. I recently spoke to him about the murders.
You just cannot believe this terrible thing that happened to the community and the families actually happened here on my property in my backyard.
He told me he has an alibi, buying tropical fish 20 miles away.
I was not home during the time that all this was happening. I was in Lafayette.
Yeah.
And I didn't get home till approximately 6:30 in the evening, and then the neighbor stopped to ask for permission to look back here for the girls.
Liberty German shot this chilling image of the suspected killer approaching the girls on a hiking trail, and she recorded the killer's voice.
What do you hear on there?
Nothing that I recognize at all. No.
Doesn't that sound like him?
Hiking trail, and she recorded the killer's voice.
What do you hear on there?
Nothing that I recognize at all. No one. I don't recognize the voice at all.
I asked Ron Logan to repeat.
I don't recognize the voice at all. It only sounds exactly like you, but okay.
Those same chilling words.
Down the hill.
And that image of the suspect?
The picture is of such poor quality, it doesn't look like anyone I've ever seen.
Police have not revealed what led them to search his home, but said in a statement, "We basically are here to try to eliminate him or put him as a higher suspect in our case." Ron Logan told me he is devastated by the discovery of the bodies on his property.
That was like being hit with a bolt of lightning on my property. I mean, you just can't put words to it.
And that is Ron Logan, again, 2 months after the crimes, and the FBI is searching his home. We are going to actually go into now the probable cause affidavit as to what was it that led to the search to Ron Logan's house. So let's find out. This is the probable cause affidavit for that search. So Nicole Robertson swears or affirms that she believes and has good cause to believe evidence of a homicide is located in the residence of Ronald Logan, located at redacted address, Delphi, Indiana, situated in the county of Carroll in said state, which is described as a two-story single-family dwelling situated in the county of Carroll in said state, including the detached garage, outbuildings, or a white Ford F-250 with a VIN number ending in 46, states as follows. I, Nicole Robertson, am a special agent with the Federal Bureau of Investigation and have been employed as such for 12 years. Prior to her employment as an FBI agent, wouldn't that say prior to my employment as an FBI agent, Nicole Robertson was employed as a Sauk Village, Illinois police officer for approximately 6 years. Go Illinois! Shout out to Illinois. That's where I'm from. That's where I live. All right. Nicole Robertson is assigned to the Merrillville Resident Agency and currently participates in the investigation of all violent crimes. Background: on February 13th, 2017, at approximately 1 p.m., juvenile victims, hereafter referred to as LG and AW, were taken to the Monon High Bridge Trail located in Delphi, Indiana. LG and AW were walking the trail in the area of County Road 300 North and 575 West with a latitude of 40, 35, 21.4, whatever, and a longitude of these numbers. Let's just, first of all, I want to say I forgot to mention that this was a leaked document from Murder Sheet, from the Murder Sheet podcast. And as you recall, photos were leaked to the Murder Sheet podcast. All sorts of things were leaked to them. So I'm really having a hard time understanding why everything is getting leaked to this particular podcast. Always. What do you have to say, Carroll County Prosecutor Nick McLeland? Why is the Murder Sheet podcast always getting documents beforehand or always knows things beforehand? They get all the leaks. All the leaks. And yet the prosecution team and the law enforcement are, given press conferences saying that the defense caused, the death of somebody else because of their leak, which I'm not even so sure. I think it might have been orchestrated by the prosecution, but I don't know. Anywho, let's move on. So they give the latitude and longitude of where the girls were found at approximately 2:13 p.m., which was the time of the last contact with LG and AW by cellular device. The victims were to be picked up by a family member at 3, and the victims never met with the family member. Approximately 5:30 p.m. was the last successful ping of the tower of the cell phone at AT&T. The victims LG and AW were located deceased on February 14th, 2017 at 12:17 p.m. So they were not found until afternoon at the above listed latitude and longitude, having been the victims of homicide in accordance with Indiana code. So this timeline wise and how, okay, so the bodies are found not until 12:17 p.m., but they're like in an open clearing. So how did it take so long for them to be found? And it, it really seems like it could have been like there was time in between so they could stage things, or I don't know what. Something's just not right. It shouldn't have taken them until 12:17 to find the girls if they were just laying in that clearing, It was an open area. All right, so a suspect has been developed of a white male wearing a blue jacket with a heavy physical build, wearing cap and blue jeans. The development of this suspect was made by a 43-second video taken on LG's phone where the suspect follows the victims as they are walking on the Monon High Bridge Trail. Near the end of the video, the suspect speaks to the victims saying down the hill. It sounds as though he is directing the victims to leave the trail um, to leave the trail that they were on and enter the wooded area below. no person has come forward and identified himself as the person who met the victims and made the statement in LG's video. Therefore, it is believed that person in LG's video participated in the homicides. But again, that's just speculation, and that was not proven at trial by any means. Images of the suspect have been broadcast on the news media since February 15th, 2017 as a person of interest. LG and AW are presumed to have made contact with the unknown male at approximately 2:13, based upon analysis of LG's cell phone, which recorded the video. On February 14th, 2017, at approximately 12:17 p.m., victims LG and AW were found deceased with wounds caused by a blank weapon. Oh, why is that redacted? By a redacted weapon. That should not be redacted. On the property owned by Ronald Logan. A large amount of blood was lost by the victims at the crime scene. Because of the nature of the victims' wounds, it is clearly certain that the perpetrator of the crime would have gotten blood on his person or clothing himself. The location of the crime scene is approximately 1,400 feet away from Logan's residence. Logan is a 77-year-old man. Logan's physical build is consistent with that of the male suspect videoed by LG on the Monon High Bridge Trail. Logan owns farmland and cares for large farm animals. Logan appears to be in good physical condition. Logan has been interviewed several times. His voice is not inconsistent with the person in the video. This is an FBI document. This is what they used to search his home. The FBI knows Ron Logan's voice sounds like the Down the Hill audio. It was also discovered that the redacted of one of the victims was missing from the crime scene while the rest of their clothing was recovered. We know now that, I believe, a pair of underwear and a sock was missing from the crime scene. It also appeared the girls' bodies were moved and staged based upon my train. Let me repeat that. Sorry, I kind of breezed over that. It also appeared the girls' bodies were moved and staged. By who? What happened? Did Ron do it? Somebody else do it? Why are they protecting those crime scene photos so much? Was there something staged about the crime scene and they don't want that getting out? I mean, why are you fighting it so hard? I mean, they want it to be like I'm sure if I posted it, they would come after me. I guarantee they would have tried. They would try, even though like I'm not in their jurisdiction, but I bet you they would try to do something to stop that kind of dissemination, even though once it's out there and you can't stop it. But anyways, not that I would do that, but I'm just saying, um, the pictures, the photos, they're hiding them so like they're going through so much effort to hide those photos and to make sure that they're never seen. It's like, well, why? Is there something in those photos that might implicate other people that you don't want us to see? Based upon my training and experience, it is common for perpetrators of this type of crime to take a souvenir or, in some fashion, memorialize the crime scene, whether by photos or electronic or digital methods that are then downloaded onto computers, storage devices, tablets, phones, iPad devices, or other electronic devices that store digital media for later viewing, scanning, or copying. LG and AW had no visible signs of a struggle or fight. So they were either subdued somehow or he had them. I don't know. I don't know why. Like they would have probably fought back if they had the option to. That's why I think there were more people and they were being held down or whatever. During the processing of the crime scene, investigators located known fibers and unidentified hairs, which may later be used for comparison of similar fibers or hairs. Logan owns numerous weapons, including handguns and knives, that were observed by LEOs during the execution of a search warrant that took place on his house on March 6th. Wait, what? So this is the second search? They already did a search on the 6th? So now this is to go back, apparently. Logan's home was searched as a result of a probation violation. The search was limited to the discovery of firearms and included only his main residence. So they went back and expanded or tried to expand their search. On February 14th, 2017, at approximately 9:20 a.m., Logan contacted his cousin, Redacted. Logan asked Redacted to tell the police that Redacted came to Logan's home between 2 p.m. and 2:30 p.m. on February 13th to pick Logan up. Logan further told Redacted to say that Redacted drove Logan to an aquarium store in Lafayette, Indiana. Logan told Redacted to stay there, or to say that they returned home to Logan's house between 5 and 5:30. He said in that interview it was like after 6 when he got home. He just said to one of those news reporters that it wasn't until 6 that he got home. So now he's telling his cousin, tell them we didn't get home until 5:30. So that's a different time. And now he's trying to get somebody to lie for him for an alibi, which he said he bragged to his cellmate that he was going to get a good solid alibi, but I don't think that worked out for him. On February 14th, 2017, while requesting consent to search Logan's property, a law enforcement officer advised Logan that LEOs would not search his home unless evidence led LEOs to Logan's house. In that meeting, Logan told the LEO that he did not think evidence would lead them to that, but said, I don't know. So he didn't say, no, you're not going to find anything. I didn't do anything to those girls. He said, I don't know. That's not very convincing, is it? A receipt from Aquarian World in Lafayette dated February 13th, 2017, with a checkout time of 5:21 p.m. was found in Logan's home on March 6th, 2017, during a probation violation search. Logan resides approximately 22 miles from the store. It would take approximately 30 minutes to get to the store from Logan's home. So, Aquarium World, 22 minutes away. He has a checkout time of 5:21. So, he definitely could have gone afterwards to get a so-called alibi. It would take 30 minutes. 30 minutes. Sorry, 30 minutes, not 22. I was incorrect. About 30 minutes to get to the store. So there's no way. If he had a receipt at 5:21, he'd be home by 5:50. So that he would be home closer to that 6 o'clock time. So that first interview would have been correct. All right. So on March 6th, 2017, during an interview with an LEO, Logan said that he was picked up by Redacted around 3 p.m. and taken straight to the aquarium store in Lafayette. In the March 6, 2017 interview, Logan said after he was done at the aquarium store, he was driven straight home. These statements were found to be factually false and intentionally designed to deceive the LEOs. Why is Richard Allen in prison again? Doesn't make any sense. All right, on March 7th, 2017, Redacted was interviewed by an LEO. Redacted told the LEO that he was with Logan on Monday, February 13th, and that Redacted drove Logan to the aquarium store in Lafayette. On March 9th, 2017, Redacted was interviewed by another LEO regarding the trip to the aquarium. Redacted told the LEO that he had lied when he when he was first interviewed by the LEO on March 7th at Logan's request. So he lied because Logan told him to. Whoops. So Redacted explained that Logan had never asked Redacted to lie for him in the past. Redacted knows that Logan has driven his vehicle while on probation and is prohibited from doing so. Remember, he had traffic violations or whatever. Redacted, so that's why he would need the ride, because he's not allowed to drive. Redacted also said that Logan did not ask him to lie for Logan when Logan drove to the transfer station earlier in the day. What's the transfer station? I don't know. All right, so on March 12th, 2017, Redacted explained in an interview to an LEO that Logan called him on the morning of February 14th and asked him to provide the alibi for Logan's drive to the aquarium in Lafayette. This phone call was made prior to LEO's discovery of LG's and AW's deceased bodies. Okay, a phone call. An interview with the phone call. I asked to provide an alibi. The phone call was made prior to them being deceased. Based on investigators' experience, it is reasonable to believe that the creation of an alibi prior to the discovery of a crime indicates culpability or knowledge of a crime. So they're saying he intentionally, willfully tried to make an alibi, which I think he did, by telling his cousin to lie for him. Redacted said he thought the photograph of the male that was released by the media of the man on the bridge looked like Logan. Elios learned that Logan had driven on February 13th to the transfer station in Delphi, Indiana to drop off trash. So that's the garbage that he went and dropped off his garbage that James Haas said in the letter. Everything that James Haas said in the letter corroborates or is corroborated in this document so far. Video from the transfer station shows Logan driving his white Ford pickup truck between 11:27 and 11:32. The video from the transfer station appears to be off by 26 minutes, putting Logan at the transfer station from approximately 11:53 a.m. to 11:58 a.m., meaning he definitely could have had time to be on his property during the crimes. Doesn't exclude him. Logan did not ask Redacted to provide an alibi for his drive to the transfer station on February 13th, 2017. Logan only asked Redacted to provide an alibi for a trip that would have occurred at the time of the apparent abduction of LG and AW. On March 8th, 2017, Redacted was interviewed by LEOs. Redacted met Logan about 7 or 8 years ago. Redacted was in a personal relationship with Logan for a couple of months and would stay with him in his home on the weekends. So now we've got like an ex-girlfriend, and I wonder if this is the ex-girlfriend that we saw a video of. She was on the news. I showed you a clip in the last video of her talking about how he was controlling and violent and wouldn't let her do things in the house. She seemed scared talking about it. So I don't know if this is her, but it could be. Right, so Redacted stayed in the house with him on the weekends. She left Logan after he became physically maltreating her. He began physically hitting her. During her interview, or at least he became physical. I don't know if he was hitting her, but whatever. So during her interview, Redacted explained that Logan continued to stalk and harass her after their breakup. During their relationship, Logan had dragged her out of her car by her hair. Yeah, this is the person that we heard the interview from, and we're going to hear another news clip from her today too. So Redacted still fears Logan. She has not had contact with Logan in approximately 2 years. She told interviewers that Logan had told her in the past that he would KILL her and no one would find her body. During her March 8th, 2017 interview, Redacted said that she knew Logan carried a gun everywhere he went. Redacted knew that Logan would carry a gun in a fanny pack. Redacted described Logan's fanny pack as one made out of a nicer material. During her March 8th, 2017 interview, Redacted told LEOs when she first saw the photograph of a man on the bridge, she thought the police were looking for Logan because she thought the photograph looked like Logan. Redacted did not initially realize that the photograph was that of the suspect. A call placed using Logan's cell phone produced cell tower data that shows Logan's cell phone appears to be in or around, this is important, his phone is in or around the area at 2:09 p.m. 2:13 is the last ping that we know the girls have the phone. About 2:30 is when they believe that the homicides are completed. All right, so although his exact location cannot be confirmed, the tower data shows that Logan's cell phone was in the Delphi area in the area of the Monon High Bridge Trail. An analysis of Logan's cell phone data revealed a text message sent from his phone at 7:56 p.m. on the 13th. Initial exam of this analysis indicates Logan's phone was likely outside of his residence in the proximity of where the bodies were located. Again, why is Richard Allen sitting behind bars? An analysis of Logan's cell phone data revealed a text message received by his phone at 10:16 p.m. on the 13th. Initial exam of this analysis indicates Logan's phone was likely outside of his residence and in the proximity of where the girls' bodies were located. Yeah. But, and we know for a fact because they told us at trial, there was no reason that the state believes Richard Allen ever returned to the scene later that night or did anything to like stage the bodies or whatever, because if he just got scared, then he would have got scared and left, and not done all this other stuff. And Ron Logan's phone happens to be where the bodies are that night or in the same vicinity. So it might be something to look at, guys. I don't know. I'm not a detective, but I think I detect something fishy going on in Carroll County. Logan met with LEOs on or about February 17th, 2017, while they were on his property. Logan was physically able to get up and down the hill from his home to the crime scene, so there's no issue with his ability to be mobile and walk around and um, traverse the terrain or whatever. He has the ability, even though he's 77 years old, he can walk. He's in good physical health. On March 14th, 2017, Logan's former housemate, Redacted, was interviewed. Redacted resided with Logan from about September 2016 through December of 2016. So they moved out just before the homicides, because they took place then the following year, 2 months later. Redacted was in a sexual relationship with Logan on and off for approximately 3 years. During the interview with LEOs, Redacted said when she first learned that AW and LG were missing and then found near Logan's home, her initial thought was that Logan was involved. Redacted said in her interview that she feared Logan and even previously told her baby's father if she ended up dead, Logan did it. That's new. We didn't know that. March 14th, I mean, I don't know if it's the same woman or a different woman. It seems like a different woman than the other one who he dragged out by her hair from her car God, it's awful. So yeah, this one, she says if I end up dead, check the guy who I'm living with right now. I'm laughing because it's like the way I said it breaks it down like in a way that's not even close to how you feel in that situation and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, I said that about my ex. That's why I'm laughing. Okay. So on March 14th, 2017, Redacted explained in her interview that Logan had been violent with her in the past. Explained that on July 4th, 2016, while at Logan's home, Logan punched her in the face, knocking her down. She explained that she was drinking, but Logan was completely sober during this incident. Redacted also explained that Logan was angry because she disrespected Logan while in Logan's home. What does that mean? That's why he punched her because she disrespected him in his home? Well, we know from the one interview that the girlfriend, the ex-girlfriend, she couldn't even lay on the couch. Like he wouldn't let her lay on the couch. That was a rule in the house. That was a no-no. If you've ever been with someone who has rules for you, you should probably go leave. I mean, when you have a rule like you can't fall asleep on the couch, and that's ridiculous. All right, so on February 13th, 2017, LG's family began searching the area of the trail where LG and AW were initially dropped off, beginning shortly after 3 p.m. LG's family and other community members joined the search shortly thereafter. Carroll County Sheriff's Office was notified at approximately 5:30 p.m. that LG and AW were missing. Once the search for LG and AW began, no one reported seeing any person matching the description of the male on the bridge. The FBI has established a database for the collection and organization of tips provided by the public in this case. A search of the database has revealed 15 tips in which citizens, both known and anonymous, attributed the crime to Logan. So there were 15 tips at this point in time, 2 months later, um, that there were tips that it was Logan, is what I was trying to say. Sorry. All right, so based on the above aforementioned facts, Logan was in the area at the time the crime occurred and that he provided false information about his activities during the crime to law enforcement, has a prior propensity for violence, employed others to assist in deceiving law enforcement, and plotted an alibi for a crime that had not yet been discovered. That's, I mean, that's pretty telling. So, information to be searched and things to be seized. Based on the aforementioned facts, I believe there is probable cause to believe that Ronald Logan has committed the crime of homicide, and evidence of that could be found on his property. The affiant, that's the person who's writing this, the affiant requests a warrant to search Ron Logan's entire property located at redacted address in Delphi, Indiana, described as a white two-story single-family dwelling, including his attached garage, outbuildings, and vehicle, a white Ford F-250 bearing the VIN number ending in 46 for evidence related to the homicides of Libby and Abby. Any and all evidence pertaining to the homicide, including clothing, forensic evidence, blood, seen and unseen, hair, body fluids, seen and unseen, fibers, weapons, including guns and cutting instruments, electronic devices used to produce the cellular signals detected by law enforcement in the area. Wait, what? Electronic devices used to produce the cellular signals detected by law enforcement in the area of a crime scene. And then animal hair samples. Okay. Does that mean Ron Logan has electronic devices that produce cell signals detected by law enforcement in the area of a crime scene? I don't know what that means, but um, it, I think it's important. I don't know what that is, but I would like to know more. Computers and computer equipment, digital storage devices, tapes, cassettes, cartridges, streaming tape, commercial software and hardware, computer disks, flash drives, disk drives, monitors, computer printers, modems, tape drives, disk application program data disks, system disk operating systems, magnetic media floppy disks, computer media, hardware and software, operating manuals, tape systems, and hard drive and other computer-related operation equipment, digital cameras, scanners, in addition to the computer photographs, graphic interchange format and/or photographs, undeveloped photographic films, slides, or other visual depictions of such graphic interchange. That's a lot. Format, equipment, and the data stored within these materials, which has been used or may be used to store evidence of a crime, research ways to conceal a crime or destroy a crime. Records, documents, writings, and correspondence maintaining information about the crime, crime scene, or any individual involved in the crime. Any and all tablets, phones, iPad devices, and any and all other electronic devices which may contain digital data. Any and all computer data, including but not limited to photographs, videos, documents, emails, and sound files. I just snorted. I saw fillet for some reason, like this the what's that called? The watermark. It confused my eyes, and the word file looked like fillets. I don't think we have any sound fillets. Sorry. All right, so photographs, videos, documents, emails, and sound files, which may contain evidence of the violations of the criminal statutes listed at the beginning of this affidavit. I affirm under penalty and perjury of as specified in Indiana Code that the foregoing representations are true. Nicole Robertson, FBI. So they thought that the crime scene was staged, which I kind of talked about in my last video as well. I played a little bit of a true crime design video where she talks about the bodies being found in the water, and there's aerial footage from like a helicopter actually that shows what very much appears to be bodies in the water on that morning when the searchers were out there. So it's very, very possible that that is accurate, that they were staged. All right, so now just a couple more clips we've got here. So the FBI report details some stunning revelations. This is now that this FBI report is released, which was 2 years ago. So we didn't get that until the around May 2022. That's when this news piece came out.
News 8 at 5 starts now.
We begin at 5 o'clock with IT-Mate and the stunning new revelations in the Delphi murders.
IT-Mate broke the news about an FBI search warrant and new details about the crime scene and what the killer may have taken from the property. Tonight, we're piecing together new information about the man targeted in that search warrant, Ronald Logan. I want to bring in IT-Mate's Demi Johnson now, who has been following this story since day one. Demi, this search warrant shows police early on, they had suspicions about Ronald Logan.
Yeah, Phil and Alexis, this FBI search warrant is only 9 pages long, but it provides surprising new detail on the crime scene in Carroll County and why investigators began to question the possible role of Ronald Logan, who owned the land where the girls were found.
You can see Ronald Logan here on his property in this video shot by Wish TV in 2017, just days after the murders of Abby Williams and Libby German. By that time, the FBI says Logan had already lied to investigators about what he was doing on the day the girls disappeared.
Monday afternoon, I was in Lafayette Aquarium World getting a tropical fish for my aquarium. So when I came home, one of the neighbors stopped and asked permission to come back here and look for the missing girls, and that's the first time I knew anything about it. So I fooled with my tropical fish the whole time the search was going on Monday night, but then they didn't find them until...
I fooled with my tropical fish the whole time the search was going on Monday night. That's what you just said. I fooled with my tropical fish. So you were playing with your tropical fish all night? Like, that's fun. And you didn't know anything about the search going on or the missing girls?
Tuesday, around noon or 1 or whatever it was.
Investigators believe Logan asked his cousin to lie about driving him to an aquarium store in Lafayette on the afternoon of February 13th. Police arrested Logan for violating his probation on charges of DUI and driving on a suspended license. He appeared in court March 13th on the charge. The next day, March 14th, a state police spokesperson tweeted, "Reports connecting Ronald Logan to the Delphi murders is false. Probation violation, no connection to murder investigation." But a search warrant filed by an FBI agent 3 days later, March 17th, says, "I believe there is probable cause to believe that Ronald Logan has committed the crime of murder, and evidence of that can be found on Ronald Logan's property. And that based on investigators' experience, it is reasonable to believe that the creation of an alibi prior to the discovery of a crime indicates culpability or knowledge of the crime." Logan pleaded guilty to a new charge of being a habitual traffic violator on April 3, 2017. He was sentenced to 2 years in prison, a sentence that would eventually be reduced to home detention. The search warrant application reveals never before discussed details about the crime scene and how the girls were found. The agent says a large amount of blood was lost by the victims at the crime scene. The agent also says authorities found that 2 articles of clothing from one of the girls was missing from the crime scene, while the rest of their clothing was recovered. It also appeared the girls' bodies were moved and staged.
Ronald Logan has never been publicly named a suspect in Abby and Libby's murders. He's also not been charged in the case. Logan died in 2020. He was charged with a probation violation for driving with a suspended license. Now, I sent several detailed questions to Indiana State Police and was told they cannot comment on this case. Demi?
They won't answer. All right, so next clip is same thing about the...
Thanks for inviting us in tonight.
About the filing. So the same kind of deal. I gave you 2 different clips talking about that filing.
A leaked document for the early days of the Delphi investigation gives new insight into where investigators had their focus immediately after the murders of Abby Williams and Libby German. A sealed search warrant obtained and revealed through a podcast shares grim details about the crime scene and the police interest in the man who owned the property where those 2 teen girls were found. Tonight, our Lauren Kostick begins our big story by explaining why police thought he may have been responsible.
Well, this is the home and property that is mentioned in this latest leaked document. It was home to Ronald Logan before he passed away in 2020. And it's also where police found the bodies of Abby and Libby more than 5 years ago. And even though this document is from 2017, it's giving new details that were never released before. Back in March 2017, 13 News was there when FBI searched Logan's property. We also spoke with him multiple times, and he even walked us back to the crime scene.
I can't really wrap my emotions around it yet. It's just so mind-boggling. I haven't really caught up. It hasn't caught up with me yet.
But recently, the podcast Murder Sheet obtained the sealed warrant. In the request, the FBI agent wrote, "I believe there is probable cause to believe that Ronald Logan has committed the crime of murder, and the evidence of that could be found on Ronald Logan's property." The agent then went on to detail why, saying Logan asked a relative to create a fake alibi for him for the afternoon that the girls were reported missing. There was also cell tower data that tracked his phone to the crime scene. Plus, investigators interviewed 2 women who had been in a relationship with Logan, and both reported that he was physically abusive. While investigators continue to track down leads,
I mean, that does say a lot. If you're going to beat up a woman that you're supposed to love and respect and cherish and all that good stuff, then what's to stop you from hurting 2 little girls and taking their lives?
community hasn't given up hope. Posters remain in many downtown windows, a constant reminder of this unsolved case.
It just feels like yesterday, to be honest with you. I mean, 5 years is not a long time at all. You know, and it's in our faces every single day. We see the same people we associate with, you know, people that are close to them.
And like so many in Delphi, Omar Ruiz has learned not to jump to conclusions when new details are released.
You know, I can't make speculations and I can't say he did or he didn't. You know, it's one of those things that, once again, we're a community. You know, we try to stick together as much as possible.
The leaked document also gave new information about the crime scene, saying one of the victims was missing an article of clothing. There were no visible signs of a struggle or fight.
At this time, it doesn't appear that we knew that Libby was naked and Abby was dressed in Libby's clothes, because that was not described in this. All we know is that there was 2 items of clothing missing. How did you know that? How have you determined that? And they're not talking about Libby being unclothed.
Investigators also recovered fibers and unidentified hairs, and it also appeared the girls' bodies were moved and staged. No matter how much time passes, the community isn't giving up, knowing someone knows something.
It's going to be solved. You know what I mean? It's going to be solved.
And to be clear, police have not charged Logan with this crime or named him as a suspect in this case.
Now let's put this leaked search warrant in context of the entire investigation. It starts when Abby and Libby go missing February 13th, 2017. And just 1 day later, February 14th of 2017, that's when search and rescue find their bodies. And then February 15th, this image right here, police released this picture from the bridge, an image we've been looking at for quite some time. That leads to the audio on February 22nd of 2017. It's the down the hill audio. So March 17th is when a search warrant was issued for the home of Ronald Logan. Not many contents were discussed of that search warrant, but we knew all of this information right here. That was about it until the first sketch of the suspect was released in July 17th of 2017, which leads to quite some time later on April 22nd of 2019. That's when ISP announced that they were moving in a new direction. Now, one thing that should be noted, that all of this was happening before Ronald Logan passed away in 2020.
State Police Superintendent Doug Carter has cautioned against speculating in
I'm going to do a whole episode on Doug Carter, too, so keep that in mind.
the wake of this leaked document. While he wouldn't comment directly on it, he says there are still things investigators know that they will not share with the public. In fact, just last December, police started looking for information about the Anthony Schatz profile, leading them to Keegan Kline. He's currently in jail tonight on charges for crimes against children, but is not charged in this Delphi case. As always,
I'll talk about him, too, because he has connections to the case, even though supposedly he didn't do anything wrong. So, I don't know. The Anthony Schatz thing is a weird topic. We'll get into that also in another episode, not today.
Turn now to...
This is now...
Thanks for inviting...
This is now... Oh, no. I lied. We don't need that one.
Turn now to developing news in the Delphi murders case. Attorneys for convicted killer Richard Allen have filed new motions to try and clear
This is the motion to correct errors.
their client's name. A jury convicted Allen in November of killing Abby Williams and Libby German in 2017. Now, the motion of errors filed today questions the timeline for these murders, with new video placing the white van that spooked Richard Allen before the murders at the crime scene 15 minutes
after the murders. Now, attorneys also claim that Allen's Sixth Amendment rights were violated when his attorneys weren't present at an initial hearing in 2022. And the defense is also disputing evidence from Libby's cell phone after testimony claimed the state found someone was plugged into Libby's phone after the murder and that they didn't bring it to jurors. But the biggest bombshell revealed this morning, another jailhouse confession for somebody who attorneys claim was a prime suspect from the very start.
And Dan, all of that really revolves around Ron Logan, the man who owns the property where the girls' bodies were found. And this evening, Fox 59's Max Lewis breaks down what was allegedly said inside of that jail cell in 2017.
The defense called it newly discovered evidence that is so significant and entitles Richard Allen to a new trial. It's a confession to the killings of Abby Williams and Libby German made by Ron Logan, who owned the property where the girls' bodies were found. The confession apparently took place inside the Newcastle Correctional Facility, where Logan was serving his sentence for a probation violation. It's there that he got to talking with another inmate in his cell block, Ricky Davis. In a letter signed.
And that is the letter that we read yesterday. It was in a court filing in the motions to correct error. We read through that about the confession. So this came out like, this was the first prison house confession, I guess. And then the one that I read today would be the second, because that was 2 years later.
Signed by Davis in June 2017, he recounted Logan's confession, writing, quote, "He told me he was the one who killed those girls, that it got out of hand. He walked with them in the woods to his property. The girls wanted to turn back and said something about calling the police." Logan apparently went on to say that he, quote, "grabbed the youngest girl to reassure her it was okay. However, they panicked and he also panicked." Logan indicated he ended up cutting the oldest with a box cutter. He went on telling me that he killed both of them because it was taken too far. At the time of that supposed confession, the fact that the girls' throats had been slit and that a box cutter was the likely murder weapon were not public knowledge. In fact, it wasn't until the trial late last year that the forensic pathologist who performed the autopsies testified that a box cutter was the likely murder weapon.
Now, looking back, they're able to say, well, with that box cutter information, that opened the door. Once they put box cutter and they had a suspect who confessed to using a box cutter, we definitely should have been able to get into at least this other suspect.
Yeah. 'Cause Judge Gull, remember, in her infinite wisdom, she decided that anything third party related, Frank's memo, individuals, Ron Logan, Odinism, none of that could come in. Thanks to Nick McLeland and his lame motion in limine and Judge Gull approving it. So, unfortunately, the defense couldn't just bring up Ron Logan and his confession. They needed a door to be opened, and they did have that door with the ME stating that it was a box cutter. However, they did not raise that at the time. So that's going to be a problem for them.
However, Judge Fran Gull ruled that the defense team could not put forward any theories about other potential suspects. In the early days of the Delphi investigation, Logan was a prime suspect, so much so that the FBI was able to secure a search warrant for his home. It's unclear if they ever found anything connecting him to the murders. But Allen's attorneys say that confession and the details in it exculpates Mr. Allen and would probably produce a different result at a retrial. Logan died of COVID back in 2022. The prosecution has yet to respond to these claims or any of the others made in these filings. Our legal expert told us that right now it is too soon to tell how or even if this will affect Richard Allen's conviction for the murders. In the newsroom, I'm Max.
All right, so that's the most recent news we have on what's going on with Ron Logan. Now, I just today or yesterday, News Nation had the ex-girlfriend on one of the ex-girlfriends again. We saw an interview of her talking about Ron in the last episode that I streamed, which was the episode was it? I can't remember. Oh my God, I'm having a total brain melt. Anyways, here we go with this. What was the title on my last episode?
Connie Dillman joins me now live. Connie, thank you so much for joining me as a guest tonight. I want to go back to the comment that you made that as soon as you saw the video and heard about Bridge Guy, you knew it was Ron Logan. Tell me why.
I know the way he walks. You know, I just had an intuition, you know, when I heard, you know, that they were murdered. It's just, you know, he finally did go. You know, it don't go away, no matter how long ago it was.
Just having some audio issues.
You know, I had a
obviously.
very volatile relationship with him. It's hard to get away from him. You know, he talked to me, and you know, he was very aggressive and abusive and manipulative, and you know, it's not something I really want to relive, but I just know his nature. I know his property. You know, it's just I'm just going with my gut feelings. Just the kind of person he is. You know, he manipulated a lot of people. He manipulated my family, and it was hard to get away from him. And just it's really hard.
Can I ask you, did he ever have any interest in young girls? Did he show any predilection towards young girls when you were his girlfriend?
Yes, he sold a horse to a girl that didn't live too far from there, and she was 13 actually. And he was touchy with her, and she'd bring her horse, ride her horse over and stuff. And I just thought that was inappropriate. But I think I know we've gotten fights over that. You know, it's like, oh, I ain't hurting nothing. I'm just trying to help her out, and you know, I don't know.
So in case you missed that, a neighbor girl who also had a horse. So he had horses and goats, I think. He had horses and something. And that was one of the things he had tried to use to get or supposedly in his confession to Ricky Davis, that he used the horses to lure the girls there. He also made up that he had bunnies or rabbits or something. Um, so what she just said is that a neighbor girl would come over all the time. He would be touchy-feely with her. She would get into arguments with him about it. The audio is breaking up a bit, so just in case you didn't hear. And he would say things like, well, I ain't hurting nobody and stuff like that. So that's her experience with him liking younger girls. She was 13 also.
It just didn't feel right with me.
And what about telling the police about all of this? Like when you saw the video, heard about Bridge Guy, got that sinking feeling that Bridge Guy was your ex-boyfriend, Ron Logan, did you tell the police?
I did. I called in. I called in 3 or 4 times, actually. I called in before I even seen the picture that's showing right now. And I know the way he walks, and I know he's built, and to me, that it looked exactly like him. I mean, even when I seen the voice, you know, it sounded just like him.
What was the reaction from the police? How did they receive your information?
Actually, when I called in the tip line, I didn't get a call back. So I reached out to our local sheriff's department, and actually, they came here. They heard my story, and they were in touch with Indiana State Police. The Indiana State Police asked them to bring me in if I didn't have a ride. I told them that I could take myself there, and I did. I met with them that very same day, and that was actually March 3rd. It was on a Friday. And then on March 6th is when they brought him in and questioned him. And actually, before they even did probation violation, it was an obstruction of justice is what they had brought him in on. And it was because he's a felon and he had guns. So I think that
What?
So they brought him in on the guns. Why did the news tell us it was a traffic violation? She's telling us it was guns.
need to know that too.
One other question for you. This inmate says that Ron Logan confessed to him while they were jailed together. You know Ron Logan before he died. Is he the kind of person that would have confessed something this terrible to a fellow inmate, both incarcerated together?
I think, once you're off of alcohol, you dry out a little bit, you can get a guilty, he needed somebody to talk to. I think probably even broke from that, and maybe he trusted that guy. He wasn't going to be out of prison for quite a while. So, what did he have to lose? He's 7 years old, he was bragging. Even the scenes and stuff where he took news media too. I think he was showing him exactly what he did. Where it happened. It's eerie to me. I think it's eerie to everybody just the way he explained it. It's calm and cool.
Thanks for.
All right, that was pretty weird and odd interview, but thought I would share it because it was his ex-girlfriend. And lastly, this is the last clip I have for you, which is also News Nation, and this is lawyer Lee. She used to be like lawyer Harvard Lee or something, but Harvard made her get rid of the Harvard. So now she's just lawyer Lee, and she's talking on the Delphi case and how this new filing that just came out from the defense, how it completely changes their timeline, which it does.
Assuming that everything Richard Allen's lawyers say is true, is it enough? And for that, I turn to Lee Wallace, a trial lawyer with 30 years of experience in trials, who's known to her thousands of YouTube fans as Lawyer Lee. Okay, Lawyer Lee, your hot take on this. It's a motion to correct errors as opposed to a motion to dismiss. Is it just semantics, or is there some significance to that?
Well, typically a motion to correct errors isn't exactly where you would expect to see these arguments. It's typically sort of used to when there's brand new evidence, it's suddenly found. In this case, this is not brand new evidence. They've made their best argument that it's new, that it's different, that it's come about with facts that came out at trial that they could not have known in advance. But it doesn't exactly fit what you would normally see in a motion to correct error.
So what's the most egregious of the 4-point bulletins, so to speak? Is it the confession? Is it the van timeline? Is it the pretrial custody? Like, what are you seeing as the most problematic, say, for the prosecution?
I think two of them are really important. They all matter. It's not that these aren't very, very important. It's just a question of, are they going to get relief right here in this particular motion, or is it just something that tells us what might happen down the line? And the two that really, really matter are Brad Weber and the white van, because the change in the timeline really makes a big difference. The prosecution said that Libby's phone last moved, forever stopped moving at 2:32. It was underneath a shoe, underneath Abby's body. And so that marks the time at which the girls were in the final location where they were going to be killed. If there was no white van to be seen by Richard Allen, it really messes up the prosecution timeline. And then when it comes to Ron Logan's confession, the confession, the reason that it's mentioned in this motion is because for the first time at trial, one of the expert witnesses called it said instead of two different weapons, which had long been relied on by the defense to say, hey, there was more than one person who actually committed this murder. This was a group effort. But the expert said, no, I'm convinced it's only one, and it was box cutters. And I can tell from the marks on one of the girls that it was the rubber handle of box cutters. And that those box cutters then were actually mentioned by Ron Logan in his confession. And the defense is saying we couldn't have put those together because we were surprised when Dr. Kaur, the expert, mentioned this at trial.
Right.
I will be fascinated to see how this plays out.
Thanks for watching. Go to join.
She did an excellent job of explaining that. Hopefully, you guys liked this little episode that I put together on Ron Logan specifically. I thought it would be interesting just to go over some stuff regarding him because he's been a household name lately for anybody who follows the Delphi case. So, oh, look at that freeze of Ashley Banfield. It's pretty funny. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you for being here. Please hit the like button on your way out. And thank you again. Take care. Bye, guys.